a sharp call for regime change from the White House. U.S. President Donald Trump is openly declaring it's time for new leadership in Iran, taking aim at Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei's 37-year rule. The remarks come after weeks of deadly protests and a sharp escalation in rhetoric between Washington and Tehran. Speaking to Politico, Trump said plainly, it's time to look for new leadership in Iran. The statement marks one of his most explicit endorsements of political change in Tehran, even as nationwide protests appear to have slowed. Over the past 3 weeks, thousands of protesters were reportedly killed as Iran's security forces moved to crush dissent. Trump repeatedly warned of possible U.S. intervention and urged Iranians to keep protesting, saying help was coming. Then came a reversal. Trump said he was told the killings had stopped, praising what he called Khamenei's decision not to carry out mass executions. The best decision he ever made, Trump said, referencing reports of halted hangings.
You urged protesters in Iran earlier this week to keep fighting in the streets and said that help was on the way. Is help still on the way, or has your bar
Well, we're going to see. As you know, Iran canceled the hanging of over 800 people. They were going to hang over 800 people yesterday, and I greatly respect the fact that they canceled them.
The Iranian leader responded on social media, accusing Trump of responsibility for violence and unrest. Khamenei said Trump slandered Iran by portraying violent groups as representative of the people. Trump fired back, accusing Iran's rulers of governing through fear and bloodshed. He called Khamenei a sick man and blamed him for destroying Iran through repression, saying leadership should be built on respect, not death. The exchange highlights a dangerous moment, with protests, threats, and personal attacks escalating. U.S.-Iran tensions are sharpening fast. Trump's message is unmistakable. He sees Iran's crisis not as temporary unrest, but as proof the system itself must change.
The guns nearly drawn and fleets in motion. The Pentagon is rushing a major aircraft carrier strike group toward the Middle East amid rising tensions with Iran. The nuclear-powered USS Abraham Lincoln and its battle group are departing the South China Sea, setting course for the U.S. Central Command region. A dramatic shift in U.S. military posture that has sparked questions. Is President Donald Trump preparing for a direct strike on Iran? The redeployment of a strike group, centered on the powerful USS Abraham Lincoln and accompanied by destroyers and submarines, is expected to take about a week to reach the region, according to military sources. While not officially confirmed by the Pentagon, multiple outlets report the move comes amid growing unease over Tehran's actions. This buildup unfolds against a backdrop of widespread unrest in Iran and speculation in Washington over whether to support demonstrators or take more forceful measures.
We're watching the situation very carefully. I've made the statement very strongly that if they start killing people like they have in the past, we will get involved. We'll be hitting them very hard where it hurts.
Anti-government protests driven by economic hardship and brutal crackdowns have killed thousands, fueling international pressure on Tehran. The tension has already led to precautionary moves. Some U.S. personnel at Al Udeid Air Base in Qatar were advised to leave as a precaution, and the U.S. Embassy issued an advisory urging caution and limiting non-essential travel amid fears of escalation. Iran briefly closed its airspace to most flights as fears of confrontation peaked, only to reopen it after a few hours. Tehran publicly denies plans for mass executions and has sought to dampen fears of war, even as U.S. officials keep all options on the table. President Trump has repeatedly vowed to support Iranian protesters and implied military action is possible if violence continues. Yet in recent remarks, he hinted that killings may be easing, a sign, some analysts say, that the administration is balancing aggression with caution. Military experts caution that moving a strike group is a sign of preparedness, not inevitability. The carrier's presence boosts deterrence and gives commanders options, but does not mean an attack is imminent. Still, the world watches closely as superpower naval assets reposition near one of the most volatile flashpoints on the planet. With the USS Abraham Lincoln steaming toward Iran's backyard, evacuation advisories, and diplomatic alarms ringing across the region, the possibility of direct U.S.-Iran confrontation is more palpable than ever. Whether this is a step toward war or pressure tactic remains unclear. But tonight, the world is watching, and the stakes could not be higher.
Subscribe to One India and never miss an update. Download the One India app now.